Hello and welcome back to episode 2 of the Combat Club. My name is Mike Owens, and today I have the pleasure of being joined by Gerald Meerschaert, who's coming off one of the biggest wins of his career on Saturday night over Edmen Shabazyan. Gerald, always a pleasure, my man. How are things with you today?
Hey, I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
The pleasure is all mine. It was a wild fight for as long as it lasted, but you obviously got the win. How are you feeling after such a big win last Saturday?
I feel great. Obviously the body shock sucked, but after that night, it pretty much went away, and I blocked most of the attempted ground and pound after that. As you can see, there's no real blemishes on my face to speak of. So I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I got two checks. Well, three checks.
Three
So I'm
checks.
doing really well.
Dare I say, and I want this to come out as a compliment, so please take it as this, but if a family member said to me, show me the quintessential Gerald Meerschaert fight, I might show them Saturday Night Fight because I feel like it encapsulated your career in about 9 minutes.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much how it goes. Of course, you always want the clean victory where you look like unstoppable or something like that, but that's some guys are really naturally strong, some guys are naturally athletic and fast, some guys got knockout power. I'm just a natural born fighter, I guess. I'm resilient, and I know, it's one thing to say, and like you see it all the time in fights, right? Guys get hurt or they're down on the scorecards, and it's like, hey man, you got nothing to lose at this point. You're gonna lose the fight anyway. You might as well go for it.
Mm.
But pulling that trigger is really hard for some people. But for me, I've been put in that situation time and time again, and I know if nothing else, I'm gonna go for it. So yeah, even Brendan Fitzgerald, shout out to him. He pretty much called that him and Paul were talking about how that's basically every fight I've had. That's a good,
Mm.
a good little clip of my career.
But it's interesting, and I wanted to bring this up because every finish in the UFC is every win has been a finish in the UFC. I think there's two or three decision wins on your record, if that. So I'm wondering, when it comes to your finishing ability, do you feel like that's a physical or a mental thing? I.e., do you have the body frame and the style to be such a finisher, or is it a mental switch where you're always looking for that finish and never looking to win on points?
I mean, I definitely think it's more mental because, my frame is like built the opposite that would be like beneficial for fighting. I mean, there's some good things about it, but like, I my reach is listed as like actually pretty long. I think it's listed at like 77 and a half,
Mm.
but I just got a really wide back. Like my arm length isn't much longer than anybody else's. My hands are actually kind of small for a guy my size, so that makes like gripping I got good grips, but I have to work harder to do it.
Mm.
Um, and I have like, a really thick, wide rib cage and like long legs. So like really I've got, most of my body is like I should be like a 70 or a 55er, but then I got like long ass legs. So, there's some good things about that, but I wouldn't say like, I'm not a tall, lanky guy and I'm not a short powerhouse either. I've just got weird parts of each. And yeah, I've just always approached fighting with the understanding that like, that's the point of a fight, right? Is like you
Mm.
see who's better and who can finish the other guy. You know what I mean? So I think that's the biggest thing is, you try to knock somebody out, you try to set up clean shots or catch them with something. But I never did jujitsu by itself really until I'd already been fighting for so long. So jujitsu for me was like a way to knockouts because I don't have crazy power. And obviously I hit hard, like I dropped Bruno
Mm.
Silva. I
Yeah.
have power, but like I'm not like, some guys where they touch people and they just kind of fall over.
Mm.
So I knew that that wasn't going to be my path to victory, but that was a way where it's like I'm gonna try to knock you out for sure, but I know that this is a for sure way that anybody can finish a fight.
Yeah.
And so once I learned how to like submit people and choke them, I was like, okay, no matter what happens, no matter who's scoring how many points or who's winning what rounds, I know if I can get to this spot, I can win.
Mm.
And if I've just always had it in my mind that this is how you win. You finish a fight, you win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You can't get screwed over on a scorecard.
Yeah.
Nobody can say, well, what about this? What about that? It's like, no, I put my arms around his neck. He tapped. That's it. I win.
100%. We were talking a little bit off camera because I know you've got a wedding next week, so I'm sure you're looking forward to that. But your face isn't marked, which is always a good thing, especially when you have an out of fighting commitment, let's say. So any
Yeah.
injuries, anything to note? How's the body feeling after the fight?
No, I feel great. And just to clarify, I mean, most people know this, but I am married. I have a little toddler.
Not your
So
wedding, not your wedding. We
yeah,
will
not my wedding.
clarify
Yeah,
that.
not my wedding. I don't know if you've seen this mustache, but this is not a single guy mustache.
Nearly
So
got you in trouble with Mrs. Meerschaert there, so I apologize.
yeah. No, no, you're fine. No, you're fine. This is my sister-in-law Marissa. She's getting married. So we're gonna be out there for that. Yeah, and my little guy is gonna be the ring bearer, so it would be
Wow.
kind of weird if my face was all busted up,
Mm.
help corralling down the aisle. So that's a good thing. But yeah, luckily, I don't feel any real injuries. I mean, general normal soreness from being in a fist fight, and there's like a couple bumps here and there, but nothing crazy.
What made you call out Paul Craig, and what is it you like about that matchup so much?
So that's something I've seen on the internet before a lot. That's something
Mm.
that my friends and teammates have suggested. Um, I think stylistically it's a great matchup because it's two guys who are really slick on the ground, and not just really slick on the ground, but big guys that are slick on the ground. That's
Mm.
not, it's not a normal thing. Um, and either it's going to be some really fun scrambles on the mat, or when two grapplers fight each other, a lot of time it's going to be a slugfest on the feet. And either way, I think that's a win-win for the fans. It's another tough opponent. Like, I know as of late he's been on a little bit of a skid, but the guy's been ranked at 85. The guy's been ranked at 205. He's been in there with big names. He's been in there with champions. So I don't see how it's a bad fight, and everybody seems very receptive to the idea. Hopefully, he's healthy and available, and we can get in there and get it done.
It would also be nice for you and probably for Paul to fight somebody who actually wanted to take it to the ground, because not many people actually want to go over the ground with either of you. So it would be quite a different contrast where you actually wouldn't have to, try to get somebody to the ground. They'd probably be more inclined to want to go there, especially Paul, who'll
Yeah,
jump guard.
yeah, I was gonna say that statistically speaking, it'll probably be like the lowest percentage of takedown defense in any fight. So that'd be kind of interesting.
Did you stick around for the main event from between Kyle Vahalio and Jared Cannonier, and what did you make of it?
I didn't. So before, this is kind of inside baseball, but if people didn't know, before, at least for obviously we're at the Apex, but at least for a lot of UFC cards before, when you're at an arena, we used to do like a green room, and guys could stick around after, eat some food, win
Mm.
or loss, you watch the fights, hang out a little bit. Um, Once COVID started happening, obviously they got to shuttle you in and out for safety reasons,
Yeah.
right? And then after that, they kind of took that model and pretty much ran with it for everything. So, if, like when I fought in Boston, went the distance, it was close, but I lost. So it was like, get your stuff, and they put you on the shuttle and take you back to the hotel, like right
Mm.
away. And, at the Apex, it's the same thing. This time I won. So, you go do all your interviews, you do your media thing, you do take a bunch of pictures, and then they put you on a shuttle, and you go back to the hotel. So, the fights after me, I didn't really get to see too much of them until I got back to the room and we got to put them on in the hotel. But you got a million text messages to answer to, and all kinds of other stuff going on through your head. So I did see some highlights after, and it is a fight I want to go back and watch. Definitely impressive that he went in there with, someone like Cannonier, who's like super tough, hits hard. It sounded like it was a close fight, and then he dropped him on that fifth round, and like was really taking it to him. So, he's young and rising fast, but it seems like he's ready, and he's, passed a very, very tough test. So that's awesome for him.
And a nice segue from a young Brazilian into an old Brazilian, but how did it feel to break Anderson Silva's record?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, man. It's a cool thing to say. I'm not thinking about it too much right now. It's like
Mm.
it is nice to get, recognition from like people and your peers, especially when like they're probably more excited about it than I am right now, just
Mm.
because I'm still gonna fight. You know what I mean? I'm not thinking about it too much, and you know, I'm giving myself space to celebrate the win and the accomplishment, but it's like one of those things when you're still competing, you don't want to focus too much on stuff like that and like let the ego get the best of you or like rest on your laurels, right?
Yeah.
The old saying is you're not as bad as they say you are, and you're not as good as you think you are. You know what I mean? So it's a cool thing to say for now. When it's all said and done and I'm retired, it'll be a cool thing to like throw out there to, the younger generation. But for now, it's like, yeah, that's awesome.
I
We're next.
No, 100%. And it kind of brings me on to my next point because I always see such a positive reaction when you get a victory online. I always feel like you have this real hardcore, set of fans. And to be honest, I feel like the casual fans have always been quite receptive to your style because you are so finish orientated. So my question to you is, and I'm going to caveat this by saying I know you're probably going to say that you don't really care, but how do you think the fans view Gerald Meerschaert?
Honestly, I think it seems like pretty positive, like you're saying. Like, there's
Mm,
going to be, I think it's a lot more positive than negative. I think it's pretty much people that are like true fans of MMA or like have been following UFC for a while. I'm
mm,
like, I'm like the old uncle that's just been here forever. And it's just
mm,
like that guy's still getting out there and doing it. And when I win, it just like makes everybody feel good.
mm.
And then the other side is just people that only remember my Khamzat fight and just bring that up every single time anything happens,
Yeah,
like win or loss. There's going to
yeah,
be 30
yeah,
comments. It's gonna be like, oh, he's trash. He got knocked out, or oh, he won, but he's still trash because he got knocked out.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's just the nature of the beast, though. And it's, I I've just come to learn to accept that, and it's like that's fine because opinions don't really affect my bank account. But I will say it is really cool that you know I it's not lost on me that like the UFC is a big deal and everything, but I'm always very appreciative when like somebody recognizes me or wants an autograph or something. Like
Mm,
the fact that anybody knows who I am is like mind blowing to me, or that,
yeah,
is like, oh, I think that's really like I watch you specifically do stuff because
yeah.
I'm just me. I wake up, I put 2 feet in my pants and pull them up like everybody else, but it is very appreciated. And I actually do kind of like the fact that a lot of my fans, like you said, it's not a bandwagon thing, or it's not like he's a next rising prospect. It's like, people like me because I'm genuinely myself
Yeah.
and I'm just kind of a nice guy. And they're like, yeah, he just gets in there and he fights, and that's awesome. So I always notice this like core group of fans that always have my back, and I do really appreciate that.
No, 100%. And that's why I brought it up because everything you said I kind of agree with. I feel like there's a relatability to you, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of the fans can relate. I saw someone online call you after the win on Saturday. I saw someone call you the middleweight Jim Miller, which
Yeah.
I think's nice. I think it's quite
Pretty
a nice
good.
compliment when you think about that. Yeah, think about what Jim's done.
Yeah, no, I can see that. That's pretty similar career trajectory so far, so that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Mm. Talk about career trajectories. I'm full of segues today, Gerald, in case you can't tell. Your good friend changed his trajectory in England. Belal Muhammad becoming the welterweight world champion. Just your overall reaction, because I do know that you and Belal are quite close friends.
Yeah, I was so happy for him, so proud of him, and like I knew he could do it, and I had like, I won't say there was like never a doubt, like I didn't doubt him at all, but it's, there was still some like you watching your friends fight, you get nervous, right? You're
Mm,
nervous like, please don't let something crazy happen, like he just gets caught with something out of nowhere that wasn't even set up, and just, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But there's that for anybody. Anybody can win or lose a fight on any given night. But I knew that it was gonna the only way he was gonna lose was like a fluke, because people do not understand how hard this guy works. Like all these other fighters that say they work hard and do all these practices, Bilal actually does that and then more. Like that dude's, gift is like, well, I shouldn't say gift, but it's like, yeah, everyone's like, oh, he's a cardio machine. It's like, yeah, because he never stops doing crazy stuff. Like he's doing 2 or 3 like MMA practices a day. Plus, he got on strength and conditioning in the last few years, which is why he looks more jacked now. Because I've seen people like talk stuff about that. It's like he just didn't lift before.
yeah,
Like I've known him for before the UFC. Like he genuinely he had a good build, but like he just didn't do anything outside of like random hood workouts, really. But now he's actually working with like a strength and conditioning guy, and he's still doing his random hood workouts. Like he'll go run these stairs in Chicago all the time. He'll do like crazy conditioning rounds. This dude literally goes, and I give him so much grief about this all the time. He goes to Orange Theory, which is like this chain in America where like you go in there and you do like a 30-minute high intensity workout, like just random stuff, like lift this, sprint for a
Right.
couple seconds, do a bunch of like, and he just does that like partially for fun, but partially for his training.
Mm.
Like the dude is a machine. So seeing him from, like I met him like just before he got in the UFC, seeing him like win those couple local fights, come in, develop and grow as a fighter, you know what I mean? And then like continue that work ethic and keep that up, which is, a lot of guys lose that, you know what I
Mm.
mean? Either they get to the UFC and they kind of take a break, or they get to the UFC and have some success and kind of take a break. And he just has only kept continuing the hard work and upping the hard work. And like anytime he gets ahead, it's like not just he's only thinking about two things. One, how can he take care of those people around him? And
Mm.
two, how can he like better maximize his time and devote it to training and being the best MMA fighter in the world? You know what I mean? And to see it finally come to fruition, and like with so much doubt around it, like everybody, I feel like a lot of people had the same attitude as Leon Edwards going into that fight. Were like, this is going to be a walk in the
I
park.
called it a mandatory defense. That's how everybody was treating it. Like to use a boxing term. Let's just get
Yes,
this one out the way and then let's move to the next one.
yes, absolutely. And he just, I mean, he other than the one round where Leon had his back for a second, and then he landed the one strike on top. But like, other than that, the cut, which is like, it's damage, but it's not like Belal was ever hurt. It's like
Mm.
Belal just ran away with the fight. He was dominant everywhere. He was outstriking him. He was taking him down. He was holding him down. It was amazing.
Here's a question I've got for you because you said how hard Bilal works. Who's the hardest worker you've ever trained with?
I was for sure Belal's the hardest worker. And that's not to
Oh,
say any other guys didn't work hard. You know
mm.
what I mean? There's some guys that are close, but like
Who would be up there
uh,
when I ask you that question? Who comes to mind?
I mean, well, like any of the champions I've worked with, like everybody that I've trained with works hard. It's just that when it comes to, and when I say like who's worked the hardest, he just like does the most stuff. You
I
know what I
see.
mean? He's also set up his life in a way where like
Mm.
all he has to worry about is training,
Yeah.
which is, that's great for him. Um, but that's just the thing. Like he's, getting different, and he's the one thing that I think separates him other than like working really, really hard is that he is very open to like instruction from like lots of different people. Like he keeps a tight circle, but he'll listen to guys where like some guys get to a spot and they're like, well, I'm this and that. Why
Mm.
would I listen to you? Or like he's sticking with his day ones. He's listening to him. If I ever have feedback for him, he just sucks it in. He's net like I've never heard Bilal say, "Oh, well, I like doing this," or "I like going that for this
Yeah.
takedown instead," or whatever. Like there's a lot of that, and like
Yeah.
some guys will do it, or like I might say that to a coach sometimes just to get their feedback or like see what they're thinking about, like to, you know, try to get a better understanding where they're coming from. But then there's a lot of guys that say that too, like what they're really saying is like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I've never heard that come out of his mouth, and just being open to everything, whether he's going to use it or not, and just being a sponge for information. Like, yeah, Bilal does what he does and he does it very well, obviously, but people don't understand like how willing he is to be a learner and how humble he is with his ego, and like whatever you got for me, I will take it in. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, at least I know that's something that, somebody might be thinking when they try that on me.
Yeah. How do you see his first? It feels like his first title defense is going to be against Shavkat. I know that he's a guy that you spent time in the room with at Killcliff, so you obviously have a perspective on both. How do you see that fight? I'm not asking for a prediction, but just how overall you envisage that fight playing out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's going to be an interesting one. Uh, Bilal definitely has a much higher pace, but it's going to be trickier with a guy. Like, how do you implement it with a guy that's going to be throwing things and looking for like quick chokes? You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So that's going to be like a little chess match between like, Belal kind of like getting in there and getting his stuff off, but not staying in too deep for too long unless he's in a super dominant position. And Shavkat like trying to time everything and like taking advantage of those openings, like
Mm.
this is my kill shot, or this is where I can scramble to the back, or this is where I can get my guillotine. You know what I mean? So that'll be that's going to be a very interesting test because you know Shavkat's finished everyone and he looks like world beater every time. But every time Bilal fights somebody like that, they can't keep up with the pace. And look at any of his recent fights. So like that guy's gonna knock him out. That guy's gonna submit him, and they can't touch him. They just can't keep up with him. So it's the old what happens when you come between like a unstoppable force and an immovable
Exactly.
object.
Yeah.
The wait and see.
100%. 100%. I want to very quickly talk about your division and get some quick fight predictions if that works for you.
Yeah,
First one I've got is a main event. I think it's in October between Michel Pereira and Anthony Hernandez. Fantastic fight. It feels like it's going under the radar. How
I
do you see
saw
that one
that.
playing out?
Yeah, man, I don't know. Because Michel Pereira's looked pretty good at 85, and he's still huge at that weight
Mm.
also. Um, and like
Crazy,
Anthony
crazy he
Hernandez,
ever made 170.
yeah, I don't understand. Like obviously he missed a couple times, but I don't even know how he got that close,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. You know what I mean? And Anthony Hernandez is the thing. He is very tough and he has great cardio. No matter what you say about the guy, he goes out there and he has his foot on the pedal the whole time,
Mm.
which is good for him in this matchup. However, it's going to be harder to do with a guy that moves crazy like that and that is that strong. You know what I mean? Because uh like Hernandez, like he has good cardio, but it's not like he's got D1 level wrestling, or it's not like if he touches your leg, he's going to take you down
Yeah.
or something like that. Like he's got it's part of it's the pacing, right?
Yeah.
Um, and even a lot of it, like he's got some good takedowns, but I wouldn't say he has any like great takedowns, and that's not to disparage him, but it's like for his style, that's fine because he's
Mm.
fine with coming up and striking and then taking your back and all that stuff. So I would think he's got a wear on him, but again, it's like I don't know how that's going to work with a guy who like fucking tries to backflip kick you and spin on, do all this stuff. Like, yeah, and I haven't really seen that guy get that tired either. I haven't
Mm.
seen anybody push him that hard, but I haven't seen him get that tired. So that's one where I'm like, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, man, because it's two such different styles, different body types, both super tough. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Next one I've got is Nasruddin Imavov versus Brendan Allen. Brendan coming off that fantastic victory over Marvin Vettori, allegedly. But we'll leave that one there.
Oh yeah, I don't know what that's even supposed to mean, but yeah.
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. Brendan Allen versus Nasruddin Imavov. How do you see that one playing out?
Oh, Brendan all day long. I
Mm.
mean, Imavov, he's good, he's tough, he bounces around, he's got his couple strikes, but man, people Brendan's another guy like he just keeps winning and
Mm.
people just keep thinking he's not that good. I don't know if it's like because they only focus on a couple matchups or whatever it is, but like, man, he's gonna beat him. He's gonna put hands on him. If that doesn't work, he's going to take him down and choke him. But I think everything works for him. I think Ivanov is not going to be able to deal with that. And people really underestimate how big Brendan is. Like
Mm.
he could definitely be a future 205er. And then when you get in there with him and like you feel the reach, you feel the physicality, you're like, oh, you're a big kid. Like he's a much bigger dude than Imavov, I think, and he'll find that out here very shortly.
Talking about a unstoppable force versus an immovable object, Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. What do you think on that one?
I don't know. We'll have to if Hamzat makes it to the fight, it'll be
Yeah.
interesting. Uh, and I'm not even saying that to be spiteful or be a dick, but it's like
Mm.
he's just had health issues.
It's certainly a question we have to consider it before every fight now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know he's had health issues before, and it's like I don't know if there's something reoccurring. But like I hope they get him all squared away. He gets checked out, and whatever it is, they take care of it because obviously a lot of people want to see him fight. I'm sure he wants to fight. And it's you want to see some guy like have his career kind of hankered because of something like that. You know what I mean? Um, But yeah, Robert Whittaker is very hard to take down, and I haven't seen him really get taken down much. And Khamzat really likes to take people down. And I would say if there's anyone that's going to have success on the feet with him, it would be Robert Whittaker. That being said, Khamzat does have some good sneaky like kicks and uppercuts, and because Rob does like move the way he does, and I'm sure this is all taken into account, but like, as long as he doesn't get caught like come ducking in with that jab, I would think he gets the better end of the feet, and then it's just a matter of Khamzat can take him down, and I don't know if that's going to be possible because like you look at the Gilbert fight, Gilbert was giving him work on the feet. And then, the after that, like he took down short notice Kamaru, but then like couldn't do much.
Mm.
And like I think that fight looks differently with a full camp for Usman. So a healthy Robert Whittaker is going to be a very, very tough test. If he blows through him, then it's like, man, you almost got to give him the title shot after that, right? But we got to see what happens when he fights a true 85er who's healthy and like ready to go.
Mm. And I know it's not booked for my last one because it's kind of been heavily rumored is the rematch between Dricus du Plessis and Sean Strickland. How do you see that one playing out? If it have happened, of course.
Yeah, I don't honestly I would think Dricus would win. I would think he would have learned whatever he needed to adjust to have a better victory the first time.
Mm.
And you know, they both here's the thing. They both fight in straight lines and they both go forward. The difference for me is that Dricus is physically bigger, and Strickland goes forward and then stops. Like he wants to go forward just enough to get just at the end of his reach and
Yeah.
then kind of box you.
Yeah.
Dricus wants to run you over, right?
Yeah.
Looking for
Yeah.
knockouts, but he's like going forward and then going forward some more. And Strickland likes to lean a lot. And when you lean and break, if your head goes behind your hips, it doesn't matter if your feet move or not. You're not going to be as strong as a guy who's like has his head going forward.
Mm.
Now he could like catch him maybe, but I don't think he's got the power or like the ability to stop someone that big when they're coming like to knock him out coming in like that.
Mm.
So I would think he would like barrel through him again and probably even get some takedowns because of that defense. Now Strickland's really good and like he spars with a lot of guys, so I'm sure he's got some tricks to adjust for that, but I just don't see him being big enough to like stop Dricus from coming forward and like maybe even in this, if they fight again in that fight, getting a takedown or two and being able to hold down Strickland.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Gerald, it really was a pleasure to catch up. Great to see you back in action on Saturday night. We have the name, Paul Craig. Do we have a card or a date that you're potentially aiming for, one that you'd like to get on?
Yeah, no, I sent in the case. I wanted Paul Craig for the December 14th card in Tampa,
Tampa.
Florida. So
And
if we get the, if I get on the card in general, that's great. If I get it with Paul Craig, that's even better.
well, fingers crossed that comes off for you because it was a great victory, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you and Paul Craig square off in a matchup where both of you will actually go on and take it to the ground. That would be really fun for the fans. So thank you as always for the time, and yeah, enjoy the celebrations of the last victory.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Mike.